I've been in dogs since 1991. We breed dogs that we want to train. I was out here in western Nebraska riding Harleys and training dogs. I don't sugarcoat anything, and if you don't like it, tough.
Welcome to another episode of the Flatlander Kennels with Chris Jobman. Thankfully for both me and him, I'm just hitting record now because I just got a tongue lashing from Chris.
I don't understand your thinking, but it wasn't a tongue lashing. We're very different people in the brain. Like, I like to get stuff done and completed with goals, and you want to go shoot teal. It's mind blowing to me, but it's fine.
That's the debate, is me not giving up opening weekend of teal to
get a master title. A master title.
Well, I think we're gonna have it done by then. I think we're gonna have it done.
I hope you do, because then we won't have to worry about it teal season.
So, you've had a lot going on there at your kennel.
Oh, and I apologize to everybody. We didn't get a podcast out last week. That's my fault. We are slammed here. We had the Flatlander HRC test here last week, and this coming week we have another master test, and then July we have 2 doubles, and we're just trying to qualify dogs for the Master National. And today, we're recording in the afternoon. Today's 102 degrees, and we got all of our dogs done. Like, we got them done quickly and quick setup because it's just so hot. And I think we're going to end up qualifying 25 to 30 dogs for the Master National. So it's full board go right now.
How many did you qualify last year?
28, I think. 28. Yeah.
Do you recall the highest amount you've ever qualified for that?
28. I took 28 to Oregon. I think we went to Oregon. I passed 24 out of 28 in Oregon. That's the most we've ever qualified, is 28. We run right in there between the 25 and 30 range for qualifying.
And where is that? And what is the date this year for Master National?
I don't know the exact date. Let me look at my phone. It is in Paducah, Kentucky. I do know that. And it is. Let me look.
I thought the last one was in Kentucky. Where was the last one?
That was the Grand. So the Master National is September 21 to October 2nd. And you would never go to that because you would probably be shooting spoonies somewhere and you couldn't handle that. Oh my God, you missed spoonie season. And then, so the Master National is September 21 to October 2nd. And then the Grand is October 19th to October 23rd. So, and that's in basically St. Louis. So
I'll be up in the Sandhills shooting teal. Or should I probably say shooting teal? Hunting in the Sandhills, man. Oh, wow. I got a taste of that last year.
It is cool. Sandhills are so unique. I used to deer hunt in the Sandhills all the time. And back, I used to grouse hunt up there, sharp-tail hunt. The Sandhills are so unique. It's insane. People don't understand it. It's beautiful.
It is. I think it's one of the hidden jewels of the entire Midwest, because you really don't hear people talking about it that much. We sharp-tail hunted it too in the 80s quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a good thing. People don't talk about it because they would ruin it. It's seriously just miles or hundreds and hundreds of miles of rolling hills that are sand, and in the bottom of those hills are wetlands and cattails. It's crazy.
Right. And not hardly anyone lives up there because there's just nothing you can do. I mean, they can kind of farm down in the little valleys a little bit, but they do
alfalfa and stuff, and they run cattle up there, but it's just huge ranches. I mean, huge ranches.
To a smaller extent, it has the same aesthetic feel as the mountains do, because when you're looking off into the sand, it's all you see. It just feels like endless.
It's absolutely beautiful. When I used to deer hunt and stuff, I'd go out there and watch the sun come up and watch the sun go down, and it's gorgeous. I love it. I mean, it's one of my favorite places ever. I don't go there anymore, but it is beautiful.
It is phenomenal. So today we're going to do a Q&A. Chris and I are going to just talk a little bit about how the HRC event went at Flatlander, and then Georgie got her first master pass with the one-on-one close coaching of one Mr. Eric Tizon, and thankfully he was there because he really set me straight on some things.
You had to be so desperate to get his help.
Well, The good thing is I didn't get yelled at by a judge, but I did do another really stupid thing that I don't even know if I'm going to tell you about.
You have to say that now. You have to tell me.
I keep doing
I'll text stuff. Eric and ask him. He'll tell me.
Okay. Should I tell you now?
I mean, he's going to tell me. We're homies, man. Like, we're like best friends. He's going to tell me.
Well, I told you, like, that my mind works just like it just goes blank for a second. So, first series, we go.
I can't wait.
It's just around the horn triple with the blind was there a blind? I'm not sure there was a blind and the honor and a flyer, no blind. And so I stood up. First, the flyer goes out. Georgie's staring at it. No problem. We swing to the middle bird.
So flyer was the first bird?
The flyer was the first bird.
Woo! Ooh,
yeah.
First bird.
It was quite a distance away. So she's staring at it. So we go to the middle one. They float, and she's not turning to look at it. And I just wasn't even thinking. I took the gun off my shoulder and lowered it clear out over her head, 3 feet from my shoulder. Let's hear it.
Teal coming. Teal season's coming. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I don't know what happens. I think that I get to doing things in training and I never realize I'm doing them.
Yeah.
They just happen and I don't think that I really even think about that I'm doing them.
What did the judge say to you?
She was really cool about it. It was Deb. I can't remember what her last name is. She's a really nice lady. She just said, hey, you can't do that. And she went on to. So then after she said, you can't do that, I actually spoke and said, okay. And Eric's like, yeah, you should have been out for that too.
Oh my God.
I'm like, well,
yeah. Well, don't talk to me if I can't talk.
That's what would have been my point.
Right?
Like, you were talking to me, but she didn't say anything about that. But she just coached me through it and gave me a warning. But it's just, I feel like such a fool when I do stuff like that.
So you're 2 for 2 in master tests with judges yelling at you and giving you a warning.
Yeah.
Perfect. You're 100%. 100%. I can't wait till you get out here in a couple of weeks. It's gonna be so fun.
I've got that one because I've got that one on video. I'll send you a little video clip of how awful it is. I stuck the gun one-handed. I stuck that gun way out in front of her head.
You know what? You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta pass. Who cares? If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
So
that's how
anyway, I will say this, that we talked a lot about the mistakes Georgie made in the first master test with the water, specifically with water. And she only barely cheated on one piece of water and she just bowed a little bit. She was almost perfect on all her water. I
watched the one video you had on your story or whatever you had on it. I can't remember where, and she took that one corner really nice. I mean, she took it
great,
confident, and she hit it, and she took that really good. I watched that because I was saying, well, has he worked on it? And she hit it really good. I watched it.
Yeah, she was like that on everything. She was almost flawless. I didn't have to handle a single time on a single mark throughout the weekend. She was just almost flawless. But the thing that so after the first series, Eric said, do you want me to candy coat it or do you want me to dissect it? And I'm like, yeah, give it to me. And basically his feedback was, I'm letting Georgie run the show. I'm letting her. So I'm not rehealing her. I'm just letting her go out and do it. And I'm not working it as a team. I'm just not crisp at the line. And I'm just letting her kind of dictate.
Well, here's the thing. And he learned from me, and I mean, the longer you let that go, eventually she's going to be uncontrollable.
Yeah.
I mean, uncontrollable. You won't be able to do anything with her. So he's right. You need to, when we did that today, because we've been running so many master tests and HRC tests, and I'm running 20-some dogs this week in our test here. And I literally worked on line manners today. Like it was like a drill sergeant. And because we're running so many tests, so they're getting loose. And that's the same thing you would need to do with Georgie is ratchet her down.
Yeah.
Put control on her.
Right. So some of the things she's doing. So if she comes back from a mark, hands me the bird, I say, sit, heel. I grab the bird. She sits up and she's not sitting anymore.
Yeah.
And then I put it in the bucket. I tell her to sit. And so I'm allowing her to be really sloppy at the line. Now, the good thing is, so he coached me through this after the first series. The second series, I implemented. It's like I was all over her. I wasn't letting her get away with it. And one of the judges was like, oh, so much more control this time.
There you go. Yeah, for sure.
needed that advice so badly because I think what I was getting into was afraid to make mistakes. So then I just wasn't going into action. I was just being quiet and not being assertive, not being a leader through the situation.
Here, and some judges in HRC and AKC, if you say, sit multiple times and your dog's not sitting, they're dinging you for trainability.
Right.
I mean, they literally could fail you for trainability because you're giving multiple commands and the dog's not doing anything. Especially if you do that over 3 series. And the next thing you know, the dog's, big and loop behind you and just everything's really sloppy, they could get you for trainability pretty good. Yeah.
And she did come around behind me on one of the Mark's heels, which she doesn't hardly ever do, but she did on that one. In fact, the last series, so I can correct everything with the sitting and all that. The thing I'm concerned about is her vocalizations because coming out of the holding blind to walk to the line, when I heel her, she normally lets out noise. And Eric said, hey, this is your time. If she does that, get her back in there, redo it, re-heel her. Yes. So the second series, I re-heeled her like twice. The third time she came out, she was even more vocal. And I looked at Eric and he's kind of nodded. He's like, just go ahead and go to the line. But the third series, when I walked her to the line to heel her, she was as vocal, more vocal than she has ever been. It's almost like she was trying to tell me, no, I'm going to do this and you can't stop me.
She's frustrated.
She was so vocal.
She's frustrated because what you've done is you've started putting a bunch of control on her and you're like, what, like Eric told you to do. So now she's frustrated.
Right.
And that's how she's letting out her frustration. Does she ever do that in training? Ever?
I'm not like that. She might. Because
in training, if she lets out even the smallest whimper, you need to jump in her because that immediately and make it a capital crime because that's what if she's whimpering in training, the test is going to be way worse, and you need to let her know that's not going to happen.
She was so vocal on that last series and actually went ahead of me and stuck her head in the bucket.
Ooh.
And Deb's like, you could be out for that.
Yes, you could.
And so that's the most out of control she has ever been walking in the line. So my plan is I'm going to get the healing stick out and I'm just going to, anytime, like if I say sit and I'm retrieving a bird and she doesn't, I'm just going to give it to her.
Yeah,
I'm just going to let her know.
What would be good for you, you have one dog, you have plenty of time, is then you wake up in the morning and you're errand or whatever, go find you a little place to train and before the test and do a really strict obedience session.
Right.
Like really strict. Healing stick, heel, make her spin, make her do your figure eights, make her back up, do a really strict obedience session with her and let her know, hey, listen, you're not the boss.
Yeah, she needs a reminder.
Front seat, but you're not the boss.
Oh man, I wanted to just kill her when she was being that vocal to me. Yeah, because it felt like a disrespectful teenager. That's how it felt.
And that's what it is. That's the great analogy. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Because you've taken her cell phone away from her now.
Yeah.
Now she's pissed.
Yeah.
That's what you've done.
So we've got those to work on, but honestly, Chris, she was better than I could have expected her to be from the first one to the second one, the one we failed to this one. She was better than I would have expected. So lots of things to be encouraged about. And hats off to Eric because, man, every time he broke on video, he videoed it for me. He broke it down every time. Beforehand, he was like, all right, if this happens, he was just coaching me. And it really, just having you professional trainers in my ear makes such a world.
A good pro will see things that you guys don't even, you don't even see it. You're oblivious to it because you're just not experienced enough and you don't even know what's happening.
Right.
And most amateurs we call them mommy goggles. They think they had an unbelievable run and why are we out, blah, 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 blah. Well, you didn't see the 5 cast refusals and the creeping and you have mommy goggles on. You guys can't see that. So to get somebody to give you a perspective on it and say, listen, I didn't even know she did that. I didn't know she did that. I didn't know she did that. Now you see it.
Yeah. So it was such a valuable weekend, and it was at Flint Oak, which I don't know if you've been to Flint Oak.
I've been to Flint Oak multiple times. Yeah.
Oh wow, what a cool place! The wife went with me, and hung out at the lodge, and they have that professional chef out there. What a cool place!
It is cool. We ran a Master National there years and years ago, and I ran sunflower tests down there quite a few times. It's cool down there. No cell phone service, which drives you nuts.
Yeah,
it's
cell phone
cool.
service sucked. Cell phone
Yeah,
service
it's
sucked.
terrible. Yeah.
So it was funny. He was Eric was playing his ringtone for everybody, which is you.
Oh my God.
And right after that, I was in the holding blind, and you called him.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, tough was right in front of the judges, right in front of everybody.
He's so stupid. He's so stupid. I mean,
it was pretty funny.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Well, everyone got a good laugh out of it.
Well, good.
So tell us more about your HRC. How many dogs were in it?
We had a full flight of finished, and we had, I don't know, 10, 12 in season and 10 or 12 in started. And it was a midweek event with the first HRC midweek event in history, which probably the last one, too. They voted not to have midweekers for some stupid reason. But
you think it's because of amateurs wanting to participate?
I don't know. I think it's, a lot of times they're stuck in 1985. I mean, it's idiotic to not vote for it because it adds more tests to the region. It adds more tests. You can run if you can run Wednesday, Thursday, and then you can go to another test Saturday, Sunday. It opens and frees everything up. I don't understand why adding more tests is a problem.
The governing board at the HRC voted it's not allowed?
Yeah. Yes, the board of directors, which is the president of every club, which I am, they literally voted 2-1 not to have midweek HRC tests.
And did they give a reason for that?
The number one factor was they think that's going to midweek test. They think that's going to hurt weekend tests, weekend clubs.
With how so? Just less
I guess more opportunity to run something. And they don't go to the weekend. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. It makes zero sense to me because what happened here was we had our midweek test, and then Hidden Pines and Cheyenne had theirs on Saturday, Sunday. So we had our Tuesday, Wednesday test, Saturday, Sunday, and Hidden Pines was 100 miles away. Mm-hmm. They came and ran our midweek, went and Hidden Pines, and they did a big circuit.
Right.
And it's dumbfounding to me that it didn't. That they voted it down. We're adding more tests. Because it's difficult to get into finish. Finish fills up really fast.
Yeah.
Let's add more tests.
Right.
It's common sense. And we're stuck in 1985 still. I mean, it's idiotic to me.
Yeah.
But
that doesn't make a lot of sense.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Because as an amateur, that's one issue that I ran into was finding enough tests to go to. I mean, I traveled clear out to Wyoming. That's a long ways away to go.
Yeah. Exactly. And we're adding midweek tests. And for some reason, it's not good. I don't know why. But anyway.
Well, you ready to get into some questions here?
Yeah, let's get to some questions.
All right. Before we do get into the questions, come join us over on the Facebook group when you get a chance and make sure to sign up over there. There's a lot of conversation going on, and this is where we get our Q&A questions from. Also, when I get it ready, I'm going to post Georgie's Masters test video that I make. I'm going to make a video about that where all 3 series will be in there. You'll be able to see that over there. So come on over to the Flatlander Kennels Facebook page to better participate in everything that we have going. All right, let's just start from the top and go straight down.
Sure.
All right, first one, Josh Schwab. Pup has become very mouthy with bumpers, water retrieves. Chomps on the bumper on the way back, but doesn't do it while doing landmarks or any other time. The pup is 8 months old and is through force fetch.
So it's doing what now?
Chomping on water retrieves, chomping on the bumper on the way back, but not on land, just on water.
So the dog's bringing the bumper back and it's squeezing the bumper.
Yeah.
I would probably, if it's doing it as it's swimming, I'm guessing it's swimming and it's doing it as it's swimming. Yeah. I would probably give like a real stern recall whistle or like get in here with maybe some collar pressure, which is like indirect pressure. So you use indirect pressure to stop what they're doing with their mouth. So you're giving them the here command to take their mind off of the chomping on the bumper. They're acting on the here command. And getting them in closer. You see what I'm saying? Getting them in faster.
Yeah.
I don't, because you can't say hold. They're already doing that.
Yeah.
So I would use like a real stern here with some pressure, and every time they chomp, here with some pressure, and get them to get back to you, and it takes their mind off of maybe chomping on that bumper a little bit. And you know what? Honestly, how bad's the chomp? If they're just squeezing a little bit, not a big deal. If they're crushing birds, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're just barely squeezing a bumper, it may not even be a big deal. Who cares?
Would getting a different type of a bumper help that?
Maybe. I don't know what kind of bumper they're using, but most, plastic bumpers there's some sort of squeeze to them.
Yeah.
But I would use maybe a real stern here with some e-collar pressure, that sort of thing. And if they're crushing it all the way flat, that's one thing. But if they're just barely, it's another. So I would use that here command and see if that helps.
All right. Next one, Dakota Tommen. How to improve marking coming out of swim by into channel pattern blinds. So that's the level of his dog. He's coming out of swim by and he's working on channel and pattern blinds, but he wants to know how to improve marking, I guess, for a dog that's at that caliber.
Singles. If they're going through swim by and channel pattern blinds, they've got a lot on their plate mentally. And I would just run lots of therapy singles, easy doubles. I guess I don't understand the question about how to improve marking. Were they a good marking dog before they started that, or not a good dog? I mean, I would just run lots of singles, honestly. There's a lot of stuff going on in that dog's head right now.
Now, I know you've answered this before, but I can't remember, and I'm curious. I know when I was out there, rarely did you do straight up triples. You
Very
did
seldom.
Lots of singles, some doubles. Why, if the hunt test is triples, why aren't you doing more triples in training?
It causes a lot of problems. It causes you do a bunch of triples, right? You start getting a dog that starts head swinging. The first mark isn't even down. They're looking for the second mark. So, it hurts their marking. So they're head swinging to the next one. Next thing you know, they're having big hunts and the big ugly hunts. Then you send them for the memory bird, another big ugly hunt. And a football team doesn't scrimmage every single day, all day long. They break it down into like plays, and
work
positions.
on concepts.
Yeah. And so you're working on singles, see the bird, go get the bird, fight the factor, go get the bird. If you do a triple all the time, you're hurting the dog because the marking is going to go down if you do triples all the time because they're going to start head swinging, like I said. And then they're going to start missing that mark, and they're going to start getting a big hunt, and next thing you know, you're handling. And we very seldom do a straight up triple. It's like a football team doesn't scrimmage every day. It's the same thing. You can't do that every single day.
Okay.
Especially if you're running lots of tests. If you're running lots of tests, we do lots and lots of singles, because they're getting their multiples on the weekends, right? So now we've got to break that down and start doing singles, start doing your D cheat and you're cutting the corners, honing them simple skills that they need to have to pass a triple. Like if they run around the corner of the water, you're out. So you run a single to teach them, hey, you still got to get in the water, that sort of thing. So testing deteriorates training. Bad, like really bad. So you have to condense that, simplify it, and go back to simple things again, or you're going to be in deep trouble.
All right, next one is Jimmy Getz. It says 30-month-old female senior hunter. 3-month-old, 30-month-old, so 2.5-year-old. Female senior hunter with 2 master passes started popping on the third mark 25 to 30 feet from the mat. Dog does a good job of marking first 2 marks in training and test. She tells me she knows where the third mark is, looks out well, no head swing, good attitude in all aspects of training, does not pop as often on a standout gun on that third mark, but almost always on a hidden gun, even in water or land setups. It's almost like now it's a habit. Breeze through senior level hunt tests.
I wonder how many triples they are running in training. She's lost confidence somewhere. And I think what she really wants to do is she's training the trainer right now. So she's maybe lost a little bit of confidence. She may not know exactly where it's at. So she goes out 25 or 30 feet. The trainer handler, no back. So that's exactly what she's looking for. She's looking for help. And then so they're giving her help, and she keeps doing that, and they give her help. So she's her confidence on her third mark is lacking at some point because they're either doing lots of testing, running lots of multiples and training, and she's looking for help. Is what she's
Can you ever nick on popping?
All the time. What I would do with this dog, if it's a simple memory bird that she's doing this on, if it's not a big old long nasty tough one, if it's a single memory bird, I would maybe nick, give her some collar pressure and just yell back with the correction. Or I would call her all the way back in, sit her down pretty sternly, sit her down, nick, heel forward, like you're mad at her, nick and heel forward and then send her harder. Like, listen, this is BS. You're not, that's lack of effort. So that's 100% lack of effort. If it's a pretty simple single, and now it's a habit, right? So now she's training the trainer, so she wants help. The trainer gives her help. She wins. That's lack of effort. I'd call her all the way back in, give her a super stern sit. I'd heel her forward, and I would maybe even force her. Say her name, give her pressure, and say her name and force her. Because that's what she's doing. That's lack of effort, 100%. In my mind.
Every time she does that in a hunt test, it's a handle, just automatic.
Every single time. And you're out. So, but she's looking for help. And she's getting help.
Yeah.
Right? So she's winning. I would, like I said, I would probably recall her and maybe get into her a little bit and like, listen, you got to try. Or if you're running lots and lots of triples and multiples in training, stop. Run more singles and get her confidence back up. So you have to, as a trainer, you have to figure out, is it lack of confidence or is it lack of effort? It sounds like to me it's lack of effort because she comes in and stares out there like she knows where she's going. So, yeah.
All right, next one, Cody Grisanti. When teaching young dogs power work and whistle stops leading into T, how do you combat a dog that spins off the line after you stop them the first time on the whistle?
They're spinning.
That spins off of the line after you stop them. Okay, so maybe they like loop and I don't know.
How do you combat a dog that spins off the line after you stop them the first time on the whistle? So it sounds like to me, after you've stopped that dog in the tee, and now you're going to send him again on the tee, it sounds like that dog is spinning at the line. Ooh, spinning already in the tee? That's not good. Is that what it sounds like to me? So
yeah.
You stopped them on the first time on the whistle, and then after you send them again, this dog is spinning. I would maybe revisit force to pile, honestly. So why is that dog spinning after a whistle? So there's confusion. It sounds like there may be some confusion there.
Think it spins when it whistles or spins on the command after the whistle?
I don't know. When teaching a young dog power work and the whistle stops leading into T, how do you combat a dog that spins off the line after you stop them the first time on the whistle? I really don't know. I know Cody. Cody's a great dude. I guess I don't understand the question. I guess we need to ask him more about it. But spinning in the tee is not good. That's a really, really, that's not a good sign. That's dog's confused or maybe too much. It's called a pressure spin. If he's talking about a pressure spin, it's a pressure spin, mental pressure spin where the dog is mentally not all there right now because he's got a lot of pressure on him mentally. So that's what they do. They spin when they leave out. They spin. That's called a pressure spin. So
can that happen from someone that's just applying too much pressure over time?
No, not necessarily. In the dog's mind, they think there's been too much mental stress.
Mm-hmm.
And in certain dogs, it could, just pop up out of nowhere. Other dogs, it never shows up. But that's not necessarily about the dog's had too much physical pressure. It's the dog is mentally stressed out is what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And once that starts, that's really hard to fix because they do it so what happens is when that dog goes through everything, the second that dog gets mentally stressed, they start pressure spinning.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even know. You're like, oh, man, I haven't even done anything. That's that dog's get out. It's a pressure spin. And a lot of times you got to run, do more run to pile without forcing. Let them, hey, this is okay. Sometimes you have to force it out. I've forced it out of dogs before too, which isn't fun, but I've done it quite a few times. But if it's a pressure spin, that dog is mentally worn out just a little bit. But there's also some dogs that genetically are mentally not strong, and these dogs like this crap just pops up. It's like training a water leak. You plug a hole, it shoots out one side. Plug a hole, it shoots out the other side. And some of these dogs genetically are mental. They're not very strong mentally. And dogs that do these things are usually like that. So
these are some fresh questions. We haven't.
All right, and I wish I knew. I know Cody, and I should answer him on this and have him give us some more detail on what's going on.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
All right, Drake Harbison. Any tips for force to pile with a more timid dog? I haven't started yet, but I know from Force Fetch that he doesn't handle pressure very well.
What tells you he doesn't handle pressure very well? Is he crying wolf, or is he really doesn't understand pressure? We have forced some of the most timid dogs you've ever seen in your entire life. And if these dogs understand pressure, they can be forced. Now, I'm not saying force them on a 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm talking force them like a 1, right? Some dogs are super low. Most of the time, it's a British dog or whatever, and we've trained a pile of them. Their dogs can be very timid, but they can. If you do your collar conditioning properly, if you do your force fetch properly, and you take your time and you teach the dog what you want out of the dog and how the dog can shut off the pressure, you can force a timid dog. You can force to pile a timid dog easily, real easily, actually. Because most of the time, timid dogs want to do the right thing. They never want to be in trouble, ever. So you start forcing a timid dog, they're like, whoop, you nicked me, I'm good, let's go. And they're actually not too bad to force because they don't ever want to be in trouble. That makes sense?
Yeah. So, would you rather have a timid dog or a stubborn dog? Or a hard dog? If you had to choose.
I would probably have a dog that was a little bit more stubborn and a lot more go than a timid dog. Timid dogs can be hard. And the hardest dog to train in the whole wide world is a stubborn, soft dog.
Mm-hmm.
They exist, and they are so hard to train. They are so hard to train because they're stubborn, so you've got to give them pressure. And then they're soft. They're soft and stubborn. It's a horrible combination. But I would probably rather have a little bit more of a stubborn dog than a timid dog myself, to be honest with you.
Stubborn dogs normally have more go, and timid dogs normally have
less. Stubborn dogs, if you can break through that little rough barrier, then they're good. They're fine. Once you realize, hey, I'm the boss, you're good to go. Timid dogs, you're literally walking on eggshells their entire life. Like, ooh, let's not do this. It might get scared. Ooh, let's don't. So you're literally walking on eggshells. A stubborn, hard charging dog, give me that all day long because you can deal with those dogs. You can train those dogs. So they're usually a little bit more forgiving.
I've never had a male dog, so I'm curious about this. Do big males, do you have to run into like alpha stuff with big males versus females?
Yeah. Some of the big alpha males are some of the best dogs in the entire world, but it takes an alpha to train an alpha.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not
constantly looking to push it with you.
Yeah. Or they finally just give up and say, you know what? You're the boss. I'm not. We're good to go. But I'm the boss of everybody else. So those alpha dogs, it takes an alpha to train an alpha. And they literally have to respect you and or fear you as of the other alpha.
Mm-hmm.
They don't respect or fear anybody else.
Yeah.
Like they literally, somebody else will grab them like, oh, here we go, substitute teacher. They don't care. They don't care. So, but it takes an alpha to train an alpha for sure.
All right, next one, Dakota. Another one from Dakota Tommen. Question about the transition from swim by to channel blinds, building pattern blind. We have learned 3 legs, all over 100 yards, 1 channel, 1 angle entry water, and 250 yards on land. Issue is arising with marks. What was a great marking dog is now running at the gun station on long marks and hooking backside hard. We just started adding marks and other factors to the pattern blind field. Should I hold off on adding more blinds to this field until marking improves? And is this normal at this age? Also, drive is still all there. Great, man. These questions are great today.
Wonderful. All right, let me think about this. So you're going for your pattern blinds. You're in your pattern blinds. You're in all your stuff. You're adding your marks, right? And the dog, you're adding your marks in your pattern blind field, and the dog is not marking as well in the pattern blind field. That's what he's saying, correct?
And even backsiding the blind.
He's backsiding the gun. I don't know if I really honestly worry about it. So if they're running at a gun on a long mark, quit throwing long marks. You're literally letting that dog run to the. You don't want them running at the gun. So why are you doing the long marks inside your pattern blind? How long are your pattern blinds? Like, what's a long mark? So the dog's running at the gun. Why is it running at the gun? Where in relation is your pattern blind to the mark? So what I'm trying to say is if your pattern blind's at 1 o'clock and you throw a mark at 12 o'clock, is it running? Is there enough room in there for the dog to make the right decision to go get the mark, or is he backsiding the gun to stay off the line to the pattern blind? Or has the dog gotten in trouble? Has the dog gotten in trouble for going back to the pattern blind when he threw a mark? Is it avoiding the line? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say if you ran a pattern blinds and you throw a mark and the dog runs back to the pattern blind instead of the mark. So did the dog get in trouble for going back to the pattern blind? So now you rethrow the mark, the dog backsides the gun. Is the dog trying to stay off the line to the pattern blind and try to be a good dog? Or is it see what I'm trying to say? Is it too tight to the line?
Yeah.
There's not enough in here to figure it out. So if they're running at the gun on long marks, quit throwing long marks. What was a great marking dog? I mean, how far are the distances? What are we looking at? He backsides the gun. So is he only backsiding the gun and not marking well inside the pattern blind field? What about the marks outside the pattern blind field? Is he doing that same thing there? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if the dog is marking well outside the pattern blind field, don't worry about it. Maybe the relationship to the line to the blinds and the marks are making him push around all the guns. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I just don't know, because like I said, if the dog is marking well outside the pattern blinds field, I wouldn't worry about it myself. I don't know if I answered that question correctly or not. But
I think you tried the best of your ability with the information that you had. How long is your average mark when you're training?
We throw them anywhere from 250 to 40. Like it just doesn't really matter. It's whatever wherever we're training, whatever we want to do. Like we don't throw much stuff past 250, 225 anymore. Like I used to all the time, but we keep it. Our longest mark, 200, 225 yards, maybe 250. Our shortest mark, I have a hard time throwing anything inside of 50 yards. It drives me insane. But we have to do it because you see those in tests. So we try to throw a real short bird. So all the time. Usually in our training setups, we have a long bird, we have a medium bird, we have a short bird. We try to get them all the distances.
let's do one more question, and then we'll wrap this episode up. And then our next episode is going to be another Q&A, and then the one following after that is we're going to go back to the flow chart because we haven't done that for a little while. So let's do one more. This is Walter Brown. He's contributed quite a few questions in the past. This is the one Walter couldn't get his dog in the water, if you remember that question.
Now we're running water blinds.
So now we're worried about treading water. Walter says, on water blinds, how do you get the dog to just stop and tread water instead of moving forward towards you or some other direction?
So you blow the whistle in the water, dog should turn. If the dog is swimming to you, you give him you go back. You give him a back command with your hand back. Turns around, then you blow the whistle again. The dog spins around, starts coming to you, you go back. You keep doing that until the dog realizes and learns how to tread water. It's like a yo-yo. Back, goes back, stop, blow the whistle again. It comes at you back. You literally do that like a yo-yo. And you just keep doing that. Some dogs don't tread water very well ever. Like some of them, you can blow the whistle, they'll literally sink because they're treading water. So they literally sink. There's some dogs that just, no matter what you do, there's just in their mind, they got too much stuff going on. Their feet are moving too quick and they don't ever tread water really well. You just have to work on that quite a bit, but you need to work on it as much as possible. They've got to tread water at least somewhat reliably and good, or you're going to be in deep trouble. But I would do the yo-yo thing, coming to you, back, blow the whistle again, sit, tweet, tweet, back, tweet. And you just do that yo-yo, push and pull, and eventually they'll stop. And then hopefully they just sit there and they quit doing that.
All right. Well, let's wrap that one up there. I thought that was a good set of questions. I look forward to hearing you answer these next ones for the next episode. You got anything else that you want to put out there before we close down?
I don't. These are good. I didn't read these questions at all before we started, so these are good ones. I enjoy. These are making me think a little bit.
Yep. All right. Well, we will see you on the next one then.
All right, guys. See everybody at the line. Take dead aim. Thank you.
Gotta strike this chord with a humble heart.